So yeah, it's flat and motionless, guys. Get over it. And NASA and friends are nothing but a bunch of satanic liars. They worship Satan and they hide God Almighty and Jesus Christ from you. And they are only able to do so because they are backed up by the media and all governments worldwide. Because all of this is owned by the same guys. The same banking cartel which owns the Federal Reserve and which owns basically all important banks, owns all the media, all the industry, the military-industrial complex, our politicians, and so on. And so you have a lot of people in our modern day of communication who wake up to the fact that something is terribly wrong with our world. And they realize, for example, that we have a lot of false flag attacks going on, blaming the guilt on someone else so you can invade his country and make a lot of profit. And you can tell the world that it's all for humanitarian reasons because you control all the media and yeah, no problem. Or you have all this chemtrailing going on and people are waking up to this, or people realize we have crisis actors showing us something that didn't really happen in the way it is presented to us, or we have people who realize that there are no free elections and it doesn't matter which side you vote because both sides are just puppets for the same master. Then we have all these testimonies by famous celebrities that they sold their soul to the devil for success. We have open worshipping of Lucifer or Satan or the devil or whatever you want to call him in big events like Super Bowl halftime. Then we have drag queen demons reading to little school children and other drag queens asking kindergarten kids if they want to be a drag queen too later when they are grown up. And then we have this transgender agenda supported by all the mainstream media, by all elected governments. And yeah, I really suggest you take a look into this gross topic and have a look, for example, who's on the cover of the Playboy nowadays. But yeah. And the main problem is that most people fail to see the big picture here. It's all connected. It's all designed to bring us away from God Almighty and Jesus Christ. And yeah, although we can prove without any doubt that NASA is faking their whole space show and that the other space organizations are just the same, it doesn't really help because all the mainstream media are under firm control and have orders to not broadcast this truth to the public. On top of all of this, they placed agents in key positions to further fool and deceive us, for example in the alternative media or in the truther scene, like the Flat Earth movement. Let's have a look at the definition of a shill here. In conspiracy terms, a shill is a person who is pretending to agree with a conspiracy and intentionally circulates false information or acts totally insane in an effort to discredit said conspiracy. Shills are often thought to be hired by the government, but don't necessarily have to be. The media loves shills because it's easy to strawman their false arguments and link their crazy, unproven claims to all believers of said conspiracy. And if you take a closer look at some of the alternative media celebrities like Alex Jones, for example, it becomes more than apparent what they really are.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. Christian murderous scum. There were giant death factories keeping babies alive and selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin and they run around screaming, we love Satan, we wanna eat babies.
This guy is just an actor. He works for Time Warner Cable just like CNN does, and he's playing the role of the crazy conspiracy theorist, who can be easily ridiculed in public for his ridiculous claims and his crazy behavior. So this Freemasonic puppet introduces another Freemasonic puppet to the world in 2009 by mentioning Eric Dubai's blasphemous book The Atlantean Conspiracy on InfoWarrior. Later, Eric Dubai publishes a video exposing Alex Jones as the controlled opposition he is, but still later Eric Dubai is mentioned again on InfoWarrior and promoted again, this time by Eddie Bravo, who talks about him several times and mentions Eric Dubai's Dinosaurs Never Existed video and his Flat Earth Conspiracy book or video. And if you like to learn more about why Eric Dubai is indeed paid opposition and not your friend, please have a look at my recent video Dubai & Co. Satanic Flat Earthers and Their Honeypot of Lies. On the grand world stage, they make you believe you have a choice, that your voice makes some sort of impact, that you can choose between pest and cholera. But both work for the same boss, so what's the point? It's all a show. Yeah, and in 1 day and 8 hours we'll have the Flat Earth International Conference 2017 in Raleigh, North Carolina. And allegedly ABC, CBS, BBC and HBO will be there. Okay, so the same ABC news which present the globe lie to us and the space lie, and the same CBS which does the same, or BBC, or HBO, and they will go to this conference and suddenly be like, okay, we'll broadcast to the world that it's flat. Does this make any sense to you guys? Exactly, it doesn't make any sense. If any mainstream media really show up at this Flat Earth conference, they won't do it for the benefit of mankind. They won't start broadcasting Flat Earth truth overnight. I mean, you do realize they are all under the same control, do you? Do you really think the same people who staged this would allow some small conference like this to change the world overnight? Like in 1 day and 7 hours everything will be fine and we will all be free from this? Guys, okay? It is a pleasant dream, but please stop being so naive. And with the big picture in our minds, let's have a look at the cast of this upcoming conference. For example, at this character here, Mark Sargent. Alright, let's forget for a second that this guy has been exposed in numerous videos to the bones and that his credibility is shattered beyond any hope of repair. Just listen to him for a second.
I'm your host, Mark Sargent, the creator of Flat Earth Clues, which propose that all of us are living inside a Truman Show enclosed structure.
Yeah. And
stars, planets, sun, moon. Okay, we'll break it in 2 sections real quick. Stars and the planets, they are projected. They are not They are a beautiful, beautiful image. You can look at them. I encourage people to go out and stare at the stars. They're great. The moon is being projected on. I do not know what the moon is, and a lot of people don't either. The sun appears to be a projection system of its own.
Yeah, and in preparation of the Flat Earth conference, Mark released this little video 1 week ago.
Death! Death! Death to all who oppose us! You hillbilly.
Yeah, that sounds really like some nice guy wanting to share the truth with you, doesn't it? If you like boring repetitions of the same clueless Flat Earth clues over and over again, then yeah, knock yourself out and go to Mark Sargent's YouTube channel and watch show after show after show where they just talk and talk and talk and talk. So yeah, if you like confusing weird ideas and boring endless talk, then go ahead and subscribe this guy. Alternatively, you can just watch the summaries about him, exposing him as the lying paid opposition agent that he really is. If you are one of the unlucky guys who downloaded the ultimate Flat Earth app by Mark Sargent or Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes by his partner, Pat Steere, I highly suggest you delete this spy app trash immediately. Yeah, that may be, but Metatron Incorporated is the company behind the apps for Sargent and Steere. And this company is nothing but a data mining kraken, heavily involved in shady business. If you want to know more about it, just have a look at this video, for example. But if you don't mind having a spy app on your phone which needs access to your camera and which needs to deactivate your standby function, even though the camera has no function itself in the app and it's just pictures, videos and text, then yeah, go ahead, download it, and while you're at it, download this app which was promoted by Mark Sargent as well, Flat Earth Love App Invitation. Have fun with this, guys. So we are back at the cast for the conference, and keep in mind that he's done, completely exposed, and this is his partner. And after the video by MGTV, which was mirrored by ODD TV and then spread quite quickly, they made a show and then they made a little mistake, because she was reading a curious death threat she received, and when she hit the delete button, the message before that popped up, which was a message by Mark Sargent on how to write a death threat like this. Yeah, but if you think that is all no problem, then please don't comment under my videos. Okay, goody. So, we have the Flat Earth conference, which goes mainstream. You know my opinion about mainstream, but okay. And let's hear this guy's opinion about what's really going on.
In other words, when Martin earlier described B.O.B., he's with them, or I've forgotten how he phrased it, but some words to the effect that he's with the powers that should not be in some way, shape or form. And I would argue the complete contrast, which is that there is no powers that should not be. There's just lots and lots of systems that are in place that may be being held up by certain people, but there is no really just people that go through the systems and negotiate their way through things that are already well and truly established, like the education system.
Sorry, Nathan, but
what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
You need the detractors. It's the crappy detractors, the ones that are calling people Satanists and trannies and God.
Yeah, we can't have that. Calling anyone a Satanist, for example, this penguin guy, IPS, Infinite Plane Society, who, is exposed to the core as a satanic liar. But, we can't have that. Yeah, and God beware, please no one talk about trannies or something like this, because it's a no-go zone and you lose any credibility if you even think about it. Okay? So, please forget this. And let's get back to the conference.
Flat Earth Reset, thank you so much for tuning in to 90% of the show, because that really, really helps my metrics, because it shows that you are thoroughly engaged with this content. So thank you. Be sure to subscribe.
He probably is subscribed, I would imagine. He's
Probably
a fan.
50 times.
Flat Earth Reset.
That annoys me
is a
though. I
fan.
don't want socks that are subscribed. I'd rather. Yeah, I mean, you've said that now, and I feel proud. I've hit 4,600 subs today. Way! But you know, it's one of those that I'd like every single one of them to be an actual person. You know, not sock accounts. That annoys me a little bit. You know, I want them to all be real people. I want to be reaching 4,600 people, not 4,600 subs that are sock accounts of the same account more than once that just wants to troll me and wants an easy route into coming into the channel. You know, that's one of the reasons I don't want to ban people. You know, hopefully the socks will get bored and they'll sod off, and then it will only be represented by real people in the numbers. You know, I don't know, one day Martin and I may have this conversation on a different show, but, you know. Oh. Yes, live with each other in the other room. Yes, we've still got the behind the scenes running, but in OBS. I'm alive.
Oh.
I'm reading your chat out because that goes out too. So yeah.
Oh.
So the behind the
I'm
scenes still
alive. I didn't know
runs.
we were alive on another channel. Whatever. Like anything I say is always the same off or on camera or whatever. But yeah, I am confident in Flat Earth progressing, and I'm confident that the people who are so bent on tearing other human beings down don't represent real life. I go outside, I don't see any. No one's ever called me a CIA agent or a man or an old cougar or none of that. Just that doesn't happen in my real life. And going to the
They don't represent the community. Sorry to interrupt, but they don't represent the community. You had mentioned that hopefully if people come to Flat Earth, don't kind of watch the community, but understand that they're not part of the community. If they were, they would come to conferences, they would come to meetouts, they sit behind their keyboard. So we need to realize that they're not part of the community. All they are, like, and I think IPS brought up a good point, they're like the paparazzi in the sense that they're just the gossipers, but they're slanderers. They're the ones that are actually using names to grow their channels. Understand that when people use Patricia Steere or Mark Sargent or IPS, they get numbers. I mean, they get very small numbers. Have you ever noticed that the most attack you get are from channels that have lower subscriber bases than you do? Isn't that strange? Most time, you will always find this common denominator. The most vicious attacks, YouTube-wise, come at you, have lower subscribers than you. It's rare that you have higher subscriber count channels coming against you night and day. You won't see it. It's very rare. It's a one-off, right? So again, that should tell you something. They're using it. That's their stick in life. They want to become, that's just what they want to do. They want to name drop. They want to be vicious. They want to have no merit. They want to have no integrity with their journalism or whatever. I mean, there were things written about me, but I will at least, respect the person that wrote them, to get me on the phone, to talk with me, give me the opportunity to tell my side of the story, and then he was able to, retract certain aspects of his story. Still, he was asking questions, but in, a few, in less than 2 months, all of those accusations are going to be completely unfounded in the sense that, yep, the conference happened. Everyone had a wonderful time. But this time, what was it? In April, I was on the show with Nathan, and the big question was, was I a big scam artist and that I was taking all this money and was going to run away and that the conference was never going to happen? These are people that don't want it to happen because they're jealous. And these channels that constantly attack us, they're jealous. They're jealous of the numbers. They're jealous. And if only they would just stop and say, look, just apologize and say, I'm sorry, I didn't know you. You know, we would embrace you and say, yeah, it's cool, you know, but yeah, it frustrates me sometimes. But again, the conference, the convention in the UK, I'm excited to meet everyone, you know, in a couple of months in November. But I'm also excited, if I don't meet you in November, I'll meet you at the UK conference in April, or the convention in April. I'm excited. I'm working with Gary. We're working with each other with our conferences and our conventions. And we're going to continually look at growing the community, looking at the big picture, because Gary and I are both the same, saying that our conventions and our conferences are all about community. They're all about the big picture. We understand that people are nitpicky and this and that. All I know, though, is if you're going out of your way and trying to destroy, you know, what's going on as the greater good, then, you know, you're not going to be part of the community.
Yeah, alright. I don't want to be part of a community like this anyway, where people are so naive that they think there are no powers that be and there is no one behind the scenes pulling the strings, or where people are clever enough to see it but claim something else. In my opinion, these guys are just satanic shills. If they know it or not, they are doing nothing good for mankind by putting up their show, by confusing people and by deceiving people and by misleading people. And the people supporting them are either super naive, which I doubt, or work for the same bosses. You decide, guys. Just look into their program, be aware that none of them mentions God Almighty or Jesus Christ, and be also aware that if you research Flat Earth for the first time, you will find a lot of these paid opposition guys, and you will find their content, their channels, their ebooks, their apps, whatever. And the people who brought you this lie also presented you with this map. And this map is also promoted by all the guys I already mentioned. And the problem with this map is it just doesn't work. Okay? Just Google it up, guys. I won't even explain it anymore. Just Google it up. This model is trash, and it's left behind to confuse us and to lead us astray. There's layer upon layer upon layer of fail-safe deception devices in place, and you people are like, hey, let's have a conference and then the world will be better. Okay.
People are calling Eric Dubay a shill. You know, I mean, regardless of any controversial statements that he's made in the past or any dress code that he may have violated, that doesn't negate the fact that he wrote 200 proofs. Okay, that guy's woken up a lot of people to flat Earth. So how about we, you know, kind of draw a line in the sand, come up with a new rule. If an individual has woken up more people to flat Earth than you don't get to call him a shill. How about we agree on that?
I'm sorry, but that's not even worth commenting on. And dear brothers and sisters, if you don't mind being lied to and being led away from God Almighty and Jesus Christ, then please follow these celebrities and do what you want, but don't come to me back later and complain I didn't warn you. Okay? Yeah, and all these guys also support B.O.B., this flat earth rapper, who's also total shill, most likely forced to do his job. Also member of the Flat Earth Society, another paid opposition institution to gatekeep this whole flat earth thing and to make it seem ridiculous to the outside. And yeah.
I purposely sometimes admittedly provoke trolls.
Well said, Pat. Here, have a pat on the back. And remember, guys, you can use all my videos for free. I don't gain anything from this. I am not jealous of anyone. I just do this in my free time, in the hope of opening some eyes to the reality. In my opinion, people should spend more time on channels like these. Effed Up World, my brother Joe's channel. He's doing brilliant work over there, and people should really have a look and listen to what he has to say. Also, Tell Me What You Love's channel, my brother Maurizio's, and he was responsible for the intro you saw. I modified this video a bit for it. And I'll bring another one of his excellent videos to end this show. It's titled, They Changed the Truth of God into a Lie. Romans 1:25. Don't be so naive, guys. And may God Almighty bless and protect you and your families and all good humans on earth. And by the way, it's flat.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. And do all this, and do all this, and do it right, and do it first, before this decade is out, then we must be bold.
The Earth isn't flat. This is called gravity.